If you're new to the Makeup Chair channel, then click subscribe below. It's totally free. And if you're already subscribed, then thank you and welcome back. Hope you enjoy this look, and let's get started. To start off this look, I've already primed my eyelids with some eyeshadow primer. And I'm then taking my blending brush. This is the Blank Canvas Cosmetics E25, E26, and I'm going to apply my mid-tone. And for my mid-tone this week, I'm using the MAC shade Cork, because I live in Cork and this is a St. Patrick's Day look. So I wanted to incorporate the shade Cork because that's where I live here in Ireland and it's the best county. I'm going to get myself in trouble for saying that, but it is. To get rid of any harsh lines, I'm then going to be taking the other side of the brush to blend and sweep this out. I like using a clean blending brush just to keep it nice and soft, particularly because we're not using any other shades in the crease. We want to make sure this is nice and smooth. I'm then going to be taking the Blank Canvas Cosmetics E25. This is a pencil brush. And I'm going to be taking this shade, which I think is by Makeup Geek. I'm not 100% sure because the label is rubbed off. What I'm doing is I'm applying this on the outer edge of the eye, a little bit in the crease, and then to the inner corner. So we're going to have sort of a dark outer and inner corner. And just apply a little bit at a time, building this up to get that nice soft shaping. And then once you've done that, you can apply a little extra on the inner and outer corner, not so much in the crease because we want to keep that blend. But you should end up with something that looks like this. And I'm then going to take the Makeup Geek Shadow Shimmer Mint, which I think has been discontinued, and I'm sticking with that same brush, and I'm going to apply this all over the lid, so all over everything that we've applied. What you'll find is that you'll have a darker base on the outer corner, an inner corner, and then the middle is going to be nice and light, so we're going to get a grading effect. This is a great technique for beginners, using this layering technique. Trying to make sure you're just patting on the eyeshadow over the top of what we've already applied. If you rub too much, you'll disturb what's underneath. But you should end up with something that looks like this. And I'm going to take that little brush that I mentioned last week, what I love. It's the E27, E28, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue and then just tap some loose glitter over the top. And because you're using glitter glue and then loose glitter, it means that it's only going to stick where you want it to. So it makes the whole process a lot easier, I find, because then I can take my blending brush and just like knock off any of the glitter that hasn't stuck. And then I'm taking the Blank Canvas Cosmetics Borderline Eyeliner. I'm just going to run this along the lash line. This is basically creating a border along my lash line to deepen and darken it, because that will make sure that glitter pops a little bit more. And you can also bring this along your lashes to catch any of the glitter and knock it off. And then went in and applied mascara and lashes. And taking that brush again, I'm going to apply the darker of the two greens on the outer third only. And then taking a mixture of the light green and a little bit of glitter, I'm just going to tap this on the inner corner. Mascara on those lower lashes, and that's the finished look. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. If you're new here, today I'm going to show you how to create a glittery smoky eye. So let's get started. As with any eye makeup look, you want to create a blank canvas to work on. So apply concealer, foundation, or an eyeshadow primer all over the lid and any area that you're working on to give your eyeshadow something to hold on to, but also to help them last longer. When creating any eye makeup look, there's three areas that you focus on: the lid area, the crease area, which is where the lid creases into the eye shape, but also refers to any area above this, working upwards towards the brow bone, which is our third area. Once you know all three of these areas, you can create any eye makeup look. To start off this look, we're going to be applying a base shade. So choose a shade similar to your own skin tone, and you're going to be applying this with a blending brush. You can check out the description box to find out where I get my brushes from, and I also have a discount code below. You're going to be applying this all over the lid, setting the concealer, primer, or foundation that we've already applied, and also creating a really soft blend for us to work on. Then we're going to be applying a mid-tone. Your mid-tone shade is similar to your bronzer or your favorite nude lipstick. Because we're going to be creating a smoky eye, have a look at the nude lipstick that you're going to be wearing with this look and choose an eyeshadow that matches that perfectly. Doing that will help you find the perfect mid-tone. We usually apply our mid-tone into the crease. However, with a smoky eye, we also bring it down onto the lid so that we have a layering technique. So start off deep in the crease, bring it down then onto the lid, and once the majority of the product is off the brush, make sure to softly sweep the crease area to make sure you have a soft blend and no harsh lines. The next step is to apply your contour. And I want you to layer your contour using a slightly smaller brush. You're going to be focusing this on the lower part of the lid, really close to those lashes. Once you've done one thin layer, I want you to do a second layer. This will make sure that you get a nice strong color, but it's much easier to blend. Build up your smoky eye a little bit at a time. And remember, smoky eyes always look a little bit messy before they're finished. As we're going to be using glitter, I want you guys to try some glitter glue. There's lots of different ones available. The trick with glitter glue is to make sure you cover the area in a very thin amount of glue. Try and keep your eyes as still as possible, looking slightly down in a mirror, or even supporting and stretching the lid. This will make sure that your glue layer is nice and even. The glitter that we're using today is a dark glitter. Even though it shines like glitter, it actually looks quite dark when the light's not shining on it, so it's perfect for a smoky eye. And the trick with applying glitter is to really pack it on there. Get a lot on your brush and just glide it over the glitter glue. You might be inclined to apply glitter using a flat brush. Using a small pencil brush or a small fluffy brush will actually be better with loose glitters. Sometimes the flat brushes can apply a little bit too much pressure and disturb the glue underneath, whereas a fluffy brush really packs on that loose glitter, giving you a much more even finish. So I highly recommend skipping the flat brush and go for a soft blender. Once you've really packed on that glitter, I want you to take your brush, holding it at the very bottom of the handle, and glide over the top to knock off any excess glitter. This will just prevent it from falling down onto your perfect base later. Once you've cleaned up any fallout and applied your base, you can then apply your highlighter using a flat brush this time, focusing this on the inner corner of the eye and maybe a little bit underneath the brow too. And there you go, a super easy smoky eye using some glitter. Finish off with liner, lashes, whatever you prefer. In this video, I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks on how to add some color into your eye makeup looks. So let's get started. The first thing that you should try is applying concealer, foundation, or an eyeshadow primer onto the lids. Not only will this give the eyeshadow something to hold on to, but it will also help to disguise any natural discoloration on the lid, which will actually help the color of your eyeshadows show up a little bit more. Now the main parts of the eye are the lid area. This is what you can see when your eyes are closed. The crease area, where the lid creases into the eye when the eyes are open, and often refers to any area above this, but just stopping underneath the brow bone. For color, however, I split the lid into 3 sections: an inner corner, a middle, and an outer corner. And we're going to be using a layering technique to make sure that all 3 areas are completely colored, but still have some light and depth. To create any eye makeup look, we typically use 3 eyeshadows: a shade lighter, a shade darker, and then a medium shade. However, for color, we use 4. The color that you're choosing, then 1 shade lighter than that, 1 shade darker than that, and then we have a mid-tone. Typically, the mid-tone is the hardest thing to find. My personal opinion is to go for a mid-tone that's very similar to the color that you're choosing, but just a little less saturated in color. Or alternatively, it can be a lighter version of your contour. To start off this look, I'm going to apply the mid-tone using a blending brush. Our mid-tone is a sheerer, unsaturated version of our color, or a lighter version of our contour shade. A mid-tone should be matte. And you want to apply this deep into the crease of the eye, and then very softly blend it upwards. And I like to keep my eyes slightly open and just look down in a mirror, working the brush over and back, and keeping a nice soft application and slowly building it up. This will add a soft fade for the color that we're going to apply onto the lids. Now I'm going to take a slightly smaller blending brush and use this to apply the color. Choose any color that you want to, and you want to really pack this onto the lids. But you don't have to use a lot to start with. You can always build this up to make sure you get the intensity that you want. Don't feel like you have to do the first layer completely perfect. It's a bit like applying nail polish. 2 or 3 coats is sometimes needed to make sure that color shows up. And you want to apply this really close to the lash line, working upwards then towards the crease area, covering the entire lid. Make sure as you get to the crease area, there's not too much on the brush so you get that soft fade. Now taking a clean blending brush, I'm going to apply the contour shade on that outer corner. Try and keep this just on the outer corner to start with, really packing it on the outer third, and then very softly sweeping out the edges. The reason we cover the entire lid with the color and then layered this over the outer edge is just to make sure that everything works really well together. You're going to have a little bit of that color on the lid shining through underneath your contour. So it's a great way to make sure that everything's going to work really well together. Now taking a flat brush, we're going to apply the lighter highlighter shade. In this regard, I went for a very pale color with a slight pinky purple undertone. It's just going to make sure that it works really well with the colors that we've already applied. We're going to apply this really close to that tear duct area and then very gently sweep it, covering the inner third of the lid. And then there you go. Add some liner, lashes, and mascara, and you're good to go. If you have any questions, I am always here to help. Check out the other videos on the screen, and if you need some help picking out your mid-tone, particularly... Today I'm going to show you how to take your basic eye makeup look to the next level. Sharing some of my favorite tips and tricks for getting that pro finish. So let's get started. To start with, I always apply an eyeshadow primer. Here I'm going to mix eyeshadow primer with a little bit of concealer or foundation. This is going to help to make sure that the eyeshadow primer works with your skin tone, so it's not too light or too dark. It's also a great way to shear off any eyeshadow primers that can be slightly drying on dry skin or more mature skin. The concealer helps the primer work with your skin tone and the texture. For oily lids, you want to use an eyeshadow primer that matches your skin tone as close as possible. Once you've applied your eyeshadow primer, it should feel slightly damp. This is actually okay because it will give the eyeshadow something to grab hold of. The basic areas of the eye would be the lid area, the crease area. This is where the lid creases into the eye shape, but also refers to any area above this point, but stopping underneath the brow bone. And the brow bone really isn't actually the brow bone. It's just the area underneath the brows. For this look, I've created a warm nude palette, but you can create any palette that you want using these tips. One is your base shade. This should be at least one shade lighter than your skin tone, or could possibly be the same. Then you have your contour shade. This should be at least one shade darker than your skin tone. Then you have your mid-tone, or your transition shade. I call it a mid-tone because it's a middle tone. And then we have our highlighter, which has a shimmer or frost or some sort of a metallic finish. Your mid-tone is probably the hardest to find, but it actually makes the biggest difference. Try looking at your favorite nude lipstick. Here we've gone for like a warm palette, so I've used a warm nude lipstick as a guide. You can see how your mid-tone works with the rest of the colors. It's almost as if you mix them all together and gave it a matte finish. For applying the eyeshadows, you are going to need a blending brush, a flat brush, a clean blending brush or a spare blending brush. This is just going to give you that nice clean blend. And then a small brush for applying, whether it's a pencil brush or a flat brush or a small blending brush. This one's my favorite. Starting off with the blending brush, we're going to take our mid-tone to start with. And I typically like to start off with my mid-tone on the outer edge of the eye, working over and back in the crease, keeping my hand nice and low, and slightly looking down in a mirror. By keeping my hand nice and low, it actually helps to blend it up ever so slightly, working upwards towards the brow bone. If you're not sure where to stop and start your blend, try creating a few parallel invisible lines. Use the edge of your nose, edge of your eye, and brow as one line, and then create a parallel line that works in that inner corner, and keep your blend within these 2 points. Taking our applying brush next, we are going to take the contour shade. Pick up a little bit of the product just on the outer edge and start to apply this on the outer quarter of the lid. You really want to start off with a very small amount because our lid should feel a little bit damp, and this may end up holding on to that contour a little bit too much. So slowly build this up. Start on that outer quarter of the lid, and then you can start to blend it a little further in, very slightly into the crease as well, making sure that your mid-tone is always higher than your contour. Don't worry about the application, just get the eyeshadow in the correct area, because now we're going to take our blending brush and start to blend this out. For this blend, I want you to lift your hand slightly higher, so it's about nose height on the face. This will prevent your contour from blending up too high. The higher your hand, the lower the blend. The lower your hand, the higher the blend. As this is a contour, we want to keep it nice and low to prevent it from moving past the mid-tone that we've already applied. Remember to keep within your 2 points as well. Next, we're going to take our blending brush and we're going to take a fade shade. So your fade shade is sort of like the bonus shade that's not in your palette. It could also be your blush if you prefer. Take a small amount of this onto your clean blending brush and just ever so slightly kiss the hood of the eye or the meeting point of the brow bone and the crease. So feel for the actual brow bone. Feel where that area kind of jots out and just tap a little bit of this fade shade in that area. It makes it look like your blending skills are top notch. Now we're going to take our flat brush and we're going to take that matte highlighter shade. So it's about 1 shade lighter than our skin tone. We're just going to tap this underneath the brows. So this is typically the brow bone area, but really it's just close to the eyebrows. And the reason we do this is to keep it nice and clean in that area. This will actually sharpen up everything else that you've applied. Sticking with that same brush, take some of your concealer and I want you to apply this on that inner third of the lid. So what I typically do is I go up right where the lid creases into the eye shape. I drag it downwards then, bringing it along the lash line. And you want to start on that inner corner and then sweep it to about the halfway point of the lid. Take your time with this. You're basically creating a cleaner lid. Once you've done that, take your fingertip and I want you to tap off any of the remaining excess, particularly right where it meets the darker contour shade. Now we're going to take our flat brush again and our matte base and just set the concealer in place. This will give you that really nice clean line, but also a soft blend in the crease above it. Taking that flat brush and the highlighter shade this time, so something with a little bit of shimmer, focus this on the inner corner of the lid, then very softly sweep this across the lid over the matte color that we've already applied. Now you might have noticed that we have quite a divide between our light lid and our contour shade. So we need to fade the two of them together. So we're going to take our fade shade and we're going to apply this right where they meet, right in the middle. Now you can use your mid-tone for this as well. However, a fade shade just adds that little bit more of a different tone, different texture, different depth, which once again brings your eye makeup look to the next level. Taking that flat brush and a little bit of that contour shade, we're now going to work underneath the eyes. Keeping it really close to that outer third of the lid, blending it then to the outer half, as close to the lashes as possible. So get right underneath those lashes. Then take your mid-tone on that same brush and start to sweep around this area. What this will do is it will fade out the contour that you've already applied and give you that really blurry line. It's all about the blur. To finish, take your clean blending brush and just sweep around everything, holding the brush really far down on the handle. This is just a gentle sweep to give you that perfect blend. And that's your basic eyeshadow application taken to the next level. Now I want to add in a few extra steps to give you that pro finish. We're going to line the inner rim of the eye with a color that matches our skin tone. A lot of people will go directly to white. This actually can be a little harsh, so try to make sure that this pencil matches your skin tone perfectly. We're going to apply it on the waterline or the inner rim of the eye. What this is going to do is to clean up this line and actually create more of a sharper finish. And our eyes are going to look slightly bigger too. So it's like a 2-for-1. Now I'm going to take a felt tip liner. I'm going to rest my pinky on my cheek and I'm going to do what I refer to as invisible liner. Basically, this is creating a really, really thin line, getting right to the root of the lashes and deepening and darkening them ever so slightly. If you deepen and darken your lashes and right by the roots, everything else looks a lot more sharper and defined. You really shouldn't see this. It's an invisible line. So I take the felt tip eyeliner and I just work this really close to those lashes and also down on top of the lashes as well to remove any residue of eyeshadow. Whenever you're applying eyeliner, remember to keep blinking, moving your eyes, and then coming back to the same position of looking down in a mirror. This will create much more of an even finish. And you won't worry about blinking and messing up the line. And you can see how much sharper everything looks just by applying a little bit of darkness right at the roots. And then all you have to do is finish off with your lashes and mascara. I want you guys to try this out. I know you beginners can definitely do this. It's a little time consuming, but it's a great way.